bring in Governor Mike Huckabee this morning. He is down in Florida celebrating the 4th of July weekend, Independence Day weekend. And Governor, boy,
nice man.
Yeah, smart man down there in Florida. Hey, Governor, nice to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Well, let's head out to California, because during the 4th of July weekend, you know that tensions didn't settle down while people were reacting out there in Murrieta, California, where a group of illegal immigrants had to be flown in, then bussed into a detention center there where they were being processed because Texas couldn't handle it. So supporters came out on both sides of this debate, fired up. Those who don't want them in their hometown say we can't handle it, and those who say let them in, we are America and compassionate. Listen to both sides of this debate.
It's not about race, it's about resources. Murrieta does not have the resources to support this influx of people.
They should have a chance, just like everybody else comes to America to have a chance, you know? They come for the American dream, and if we really want to live up to what we're saying, then we should accept them.
I think we should put them on the bus and send them back, and I realize we can't put them back in Mexico, but they're illegal. They're breaking our laws.
I don't blame them. They're all victims of gang violence. I'm a mother of 2 children. If I was in the same situation, I would do anything for my children, and if that's the last resort, who could blame these moms?
So, Governor, your reaction to the reactions yesterday down there in Murrieta, California?
You know, my heart goes out to these kids. It goes out to the mothers. It goes out to all of the fact that these are really some serious, challenging issues. But here's the thing I think that the president seems to be oblivious to. If I go to any country, and I've been to 50 different countries or so, I always have to show my passport. I can't just walk in and say, you know, I left my papers at home. I don't have a passport. I'm not going to tell you who I am. I'm not going to let you submit me to a medical exam to see if I'm carrying smallpox. No, I've got to go through that. And I think it's legitimate to be concerned. Are these children bringing in diseases? Are they going to be, permanent here? Are we going to be responsible for them? Why are we sending money to their countries? Why don't we say, okay, no more money to your country. We're taking that. And if we have to provide medical care and housing for these kids until you come and get them, or let us send them back on a military transport, then all the money that may have gone in aid, it's going in aid to your country, but to the people who are running our borders. The president is completely disconnected from reality to think that somehow Americans aren't upset, not because they're bigots, not because they're racist, but because they're barely feeding their own families right now. That's
Governor,
what upsets a lot of Americans.
California's had more immigration than any other state in recent decades. Do you think it's made California a better state or a worse state?
You know, I don't know that I could say that immigration has made California a worse state, but I'll tell you what has made California a worse state. The fact that they have raised taxes to a level that it's very difficult to earn a living. If you're a working class person, your income is gone down rather than gone up because you're paying more in taxes. The regulatory environment has chased businesses from California. And the fact that you have so many people who have been influx of as immigrants, you got to educate them. In many cases, they're being fed by the government. They're being given medical care by the government. And who's paying for that? All the working stiffs out there. And that's what I think has people upset, and rightfully so. There's just a limit. And when people say it's a humanitarian crisis, it is a humanitarian crisis. But the president's approach to fixing the immigration issue, where people are running across the border, is the equivalent of putting more water in the 9th Ward in New Orleans right after Katrina. If you have more immigrants than you can handle, then the one thing you can't do is just say, open the floodgates, anybody can come, and we're not checking anything.
And Governor,
I think that's why Americans are upset.
And whatever type of crisis, whatever term you want to call it, I mean, don't you think the president would want to go down there and see exactly what's going on? And as far as we know, he's not vowing to go check out this crisis going on at the border. Check out this speech that he made at a naturalization ceremony yesterday.
We're going to have to fix our immigration system, which is broken, and pass common sense immigration reform. We shouldn't be making it harder for the best and the brightest to come here and create jobs here and grow our economy here. We should be making it easier. And that's why I'm going to keep doing. He agrees with me.
And he spent the last week slamming Republicans for blocking immigration reform when these are 2 separate issues, aren't they? I mean, it seems like he would address what's going on at the border. What do you make of this?
Well, first of all, we need a commander-in-chief, not a fundraiser-in-chief. He's going to Texas next week. He's going to raise money for Democrats. Why doesn't he go ahead and go down to the border and see firsthand? We need a president right now, somebody who will lead the country rather than bleed the country, just pulling more money out of people's pockets so he can raise money for Democrats who are oblivious to this issue on the border. Now, let me just make one point. When he said, we need to make sure that we get the best and brightest to immigrate. Look, that's fine, but let me ask you this. Mr. President, what are you doing for the best and the brightest of young Americans who can't find a job after running up $100,000 debt in college because we've got people who, can't get work in this country because we're so busy immigrating new people and doing stupid things in our economy, like making it impossible to start up a new company, that as a result, you've got college graduates who are flipping hamburgers rather than going out and doing the innovative things that could grow America's economy. That's what I think a lot of Americans are just utterly frustrated with, and they should be.
Let's get you to weigh in on what Hillary Clinton had to say this week. Some raising the idea that she may have had the worst week in Washington all week. Her commentary about being dead broke when she left the White House. She wrote this week she says, all of the fees that I make from speeches have been donated to the Clinton Foundation to continue its life-changing and life-saving work. So it goes from a foundation at a university to another foundation. She makes $200,000 per speech, Governor. Was that a little too late? What do you make of that?
Well, look, if she can get $200,000 for his speech, good for her. You know, I'll come for half that. Let me just go ahead and tell you right now. So if anybody can't afford her, let me know. But I don't begrudge them the money. That's fine. But when you're making $100 million, since you've left office, as she and her husband have, then the fact that she's going to give some speaking fees away, I'm glad for that, happy for her. But I don't think that changes what she said and just the tone deafness of saying, gosh, we were dead broke. We had we'd only gotten a $10 million advance for one of the books and an $8 million for the other. How can we ever pay the mortgage on our 2 homes? Look, that shows a level of disconnect from the people who aren't worried about the mortgage on their 2 homes. They're worried about the fact millions of Americans that were foreclosed on the only home they had and were left to be just scrambling for a place to live. And for people who are working and not getting ahead, that hurts. It hurts deeply. And I think it's going to come back to bite her right in the backside when she runs for president, if she in fact does.
So the Clintons, who I would argue are greedheads, made over $100 million, as you said, in the last 10 years. They gave 9% of that to charity, which seems pretty low. But does giving money to your own family foundation, which, by the way, doesn't help anybody directly, but just sets up conferences so people can talk about helping other people, does that qualify as giving it to charity if it's your pointless family foundation?
Well, I mean, it does raise some questions about is it really an independent gift? But look, I'm not going to begrudge her if she wants to give it away to a charitable foundation, even if it's her own. That's fine. I just think that the whole bigger issue is not how much money did she make, even what she's doing with it, but does she understand? Has she really rubbed shoulders with people who don't have a driver, who don't have full-time security, who don't have full-time people taking care of their every need? And I think that's what a lot of Americans really hope for, is that somebody maybe doesn't live their life, but at least understands it. That's what people, I think they just want to know. Do you know people like me? Do you rub shoulders with people like me? Not do you give a few checks here and there, but do you know us? That's important.
Catch the Huckabee Show. It's 8 p.m. right here on the Fox News Channel every Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Governor Huckabee, great to see you. Enjoy the Independence Day weekend.
And you too. Thanks. Great to be with you guys. See you next week.
Thanks, Governor.